What's up, everybody? This is Shiroz, your host for PCM After Hours Podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest. Her name is Simren, but she's known as a naked gal on Instagram. So you should definitely check her out. She does a lot of cool marketing videos on there. She talks about a little bit of everything. She's been an actress. Her movie's on Amazon Prime. She's worked and interned with Kanye West before. So there's a lot of juicy stuff that we have to talk about with Simren today. And we're going to dive right into it and give you the floor. And Simren, tell us a little bit about yourself and your personal background, where you came from, and how you got into this entrepreneur lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Of course.
I appreciate it. I'm the first woman on this podcast.
First women. We're so excited to have you.
Yes. So how did I get into entrepreneurship? Wow. Well, I moved around a lot as a kid.
Okay.
My dad's a businessman, so I saw him from the moment I was born, build, fail, as the life of an entrepreneur goes. So I'm do that all across the country.
What was he building and what was he failing at?
A bunch of different.
Okay.
Any type of business that sparked his interest or he felt like he would get success in.
Yeah.
So we did dollar stores, we did bars, we did lounges, we did restaurants. Like there was just all kinds of different cell phone businesses.
Nice.
You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Finally, he found something that stuck, but I've seen him go through that process. And so I feel like I learned a lot as a kid.
Okay.
And I was always intrigued and inspired by my dad and by his drive to want to build something and bring value to people and create something that people could really, just providing value to people, right?
Yeah.
And so that sparked something in me. And I feel like that's where I get my entrepreneurial mindset from.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I got into eventually I kind of worked every single job. Being an actress, you do what you can to survive at the time.
Right.
And, you have that, you go through that struggling.
So that hard struggle behind every single actor that we hear about, it's true?
For the most part, it's true. I mean,
Okay.
I waited tables, I bartended, I worked in retail, I did marketing, PR, all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
And then eventually I kind of found my place in social media and creative media direction.
Okay.
Because when I was living in LA, I had moved out there to pursue acting. And when I got out there, I was doing a lot of Snapchats and a lot of vlogging.
Right.
And people really enjoyed what I was posting.
Okay.
And how I was building my content. And so when people started reaching out to me for like tips and tricks and like what they could do to put themselves out there, and a lot of people would mention how I was able to just be myself. They're like, how are you just able to be yourself on camera? And to me, that was such a tricky question because I was like, how could you not be yourself on camera? So I saw that, there was a superpower there that wasn't really fully tapped into. And then about a year ago, I just started tapping into it. And I was like, why not turn this into something?
Sure. And so I'm assuming that's where the name The Naked Gal comes, right? Let's dive a little bit deeper into that. I know you spoke something about being completely transparent and being yourself. And I think a lot of people that are online on different social media platforms, they're pretending to be somebody that they're really not. But the ones that we do find that are most successful are truly themselves. Like who they are on camera is who they are in real person. And I'm assuming, tell us about the name and how you came up with The Naked Gal. It seems kind of controversial because everyone, in the world we are in today where every girl has an OnlyFans, we're not saying you do, but having that name, The Naked Gal, right, it may create that impression. But tell us more how you came up with that name and what it means to you.
So like I said, I moved around every year. So I had to build new friends.
Right.
I had to meet, every year there was a new school, new neighborhood, new community that I had to adjust to. And so I realized, for me, I found home in people outside of home because home was not very home.
Okay.
So when I moved around and I was forced to make these friendships really fast, I eventually learned what, allowed people to trust in me to be my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just showing up as myself.
Yeah.
So the more I showed up with people as myself, the more it enabled them to feel safe with me and show up as themselves with me.
Interesting.
The Naked Gal didn't really come until, and this is actually really funny. A few years ago, it was my first relationship, and my ex was always mentioning how I was always vulnerable with everybody. He's like, why are you vulnerable with everybody? That shouldn't be for everybody. That should only be for particular people.
Right.
And I was very offended by that because my whole life was built around me building authentic relationships with people.
Right.
And so I got really upset one day and I was like, you know what? No, I'm the naked gal. Like I'm naked with people. This is who I am. So I went and changed all of my social media handles. Okay. And it was kind of like a rebellious act.
Yeah.
But
well, it paid off.
It did. I mean, it stuck.
And quite honestly, I mean, I've known you for maybe a little over 2 years. Me and Simren actually met at our previous location where we used to be. And she was there to meet a mutual that we knew. And we just kind of said hi and whatnot, nothing crazy. And here we are 2 years later. But what is crazy is that I actually know you as a naked gal and not Simren, because I see you constantly posting on Instagram and all your socials. So that's what I see popping up, which tells me that the brand that you've created has really stuck on with you, right? That name has stuck with you, which really shows that the brand that you've created really paid off for itself. And I find that very inspiring. I've been being rosé for freaking 10 years and that still hasn't stuck on. So we need to figure out what you did and how you did it. So that way, not just me, but everyone else that's watching us that is trying to make it in this online world that we're in. We really want to know what tips and secrets you have for us to really make I know you're big on having a platform for a voice, but go more into depth about how you can make your brand or the brand that someone creates really stick to them as their personality instead of just an online presence. Well,
social media is an ongoing journey, right? It's not something that you just do overnight and you have 1 million followers or multi-million followers and a whole platform and a whole community. Like it's just not that. It's always evolving. It's been around for quite some time. It's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I feel like the easiest way to evolve with social media is by being yourself. Because if you're not, what I've learned working with people with, social media direction, creative direction, building their brands, I've learned that the more we can make the brand them,
right,
the easier it is to evolve it and build an actual community that's authentic and transparent and a loyal community.
Yeah.
Because as social media evolves, as these platforms evolve, as storytelling evolves, so does the client, right? So does 100%. The person behind the brand, because you're discovering so much about yourself. I wouldn't be the naked gal if I didn't have people DMing me about how my content impacted them.
Right.
Right. I wouldn't know what value I was bringing to people, and it wouldn't mean really anything to me if I didn't have that reflection, if I didn't have what I was putting out reflected back to me.
100%.
And if you're putting something out into the world that's not authentic to who you are, you're going to get back something not authentic to who you are.
So, I know you went to fashion school, you told me, in LA, where you interned with Kanye. So I don't know if that's where this is coming from, but tell me more about that experience.
So I went out there. I originally wanted to get out there to act.
Okay.
But of course, being Pakistani and coming from a Pakistani family, my mom was like, I told her, I'm like, I want to go out there to act. And she's like, absolutely not. If you want to go out there to go to school, different story.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what's the easiest thing I can go to school for while acting? Fashion. I had a whole thing for fashion. Started a fashion club in high school, was the president of that. So I was big into that. And I was like, okay, let me try this. So I applied to a school out there, got in. And that's when I told my mom, I was like, okay, I got into the school.
So I'm going for school, but I'm going to act on the side.
Yeah. Turns out fashion design is a very difficult major.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. I had countless sleepless nights, and I had no time to act. But a few months into it, I was the only person out of my school to get this Kanye internship. And a friend of mine sent it over to me, and she was like, I think it'd be great for this. And so I applied. I had to build like a whole design portfolio for it. Got the internship, but just my heart wasn't fully there.
Did you meet Kanye West?
I did the first day.
Really?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but
what is he like? I think we'd love to know that.
Oh yeah, just don't let him come after me. No, I think he's who I thought he would be.
Yeah.
He was very passionate about his work. He was very focused. He was very innovative, and it was all about work for him.
And is he transparent? Is he the naked guy on social media like he is in real person?
To his team, I think. I was still new at the time, so we didn't really have too much interaction.
Sure.
But I know he got mad at me one day because I was wearing a Lakers t-shirt, which I don't know why.
Wait, is he not a Lakers fan?
I don't know. I think it was
he's always at the Lakers game.
Well, the first time he saw me, I was very fabulous, and then I got a little comfortable and wore a Lakers t-shirt with leggings, and he was like, no, we need you
Up to par.
higher level, yeah.
Nice. So what was your assignment when you were in that internship? What was your purpose there?
So I was a design intern.
Okay.
So I was helping the designers basically prepare new pieces to showcase to him for his collection.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I would, cut patterns, help them with the fabrics, help them just get the pieces together. I organized a lot of his like runway pieces.
Okay.
So I would take care of the closet, which was like massive.
Really?
A bunch of different Yeezy and and just a whole bunch of different clothes, vintage clothes, which I loved.
Right. I feel like that's a dream job. I mean, I think if I was put in that position, I'd probably be like, heart set on it or not. I mean, it's Kanye that I'm working for. I'm about to put his fashion pieces. What made you steer away from that?
Well, acting.
Okay.
Right? My passion. I think my heart always called me there. And, even going to fashion school, I would always see trucks around me for film sets and filming going on. And my heart was just always there. I was like, I don't want to be going to school right now. I want to be on set filming.
Yeah. Which you did, right? And you were in 2 or 3 short films?
I was in 12 short films.
Wow, 12 short films. But like 2 or 3 were like major projects, correct?
Yes, there were ones that went into film festivals. One of them we actually turned into a feature film, which is on Amazon Prime now.
Wait, before we get into that, I'm going to go behind the scenes of, you acting, right? I mean, I think so many people watch movies or watch shows and they're always wondering like who these people really are. I know they're just acting and they put on these great performances on who they are, but in reality they're completely different people. I really want to know what happens behind the sets, behind the camera, how the production team is, and what you're told to do, how you're told to do it. Is it like very rough where they speak to you violently, or are they really nice?
It's not scary. It's funny. People think it's scary on these sets, but it's so. I mean, it's the best of time. I've had the best of times over there. So after a year of fashion school, I dropped out and I went straight into
college dropout. You
college
guys watch
that? Just kidding. Parents are going to be like, "Don't follow the naked gal." No, so I dropped out and I started just getting on major sets because I was in LA.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to make the most of this.
Of course.
So I got on set with NCIS. I did Criminal Minds. We were on set with New Girl.
And how did you squeeze your way into all of that?
Background acting.
Okay.
Background acting for those. So that was just for me to really learn how big productions work. Right. So that's where I actually got time to take in and watch what was happening.
Yeah.
So when I got into directing, it was so easy for me because I had been on camera, right? I had been a lead in 12 short films.
Right.
So it's like I was great. I was used to that, but it's like behind the scenes, it's when you're acting as a lead, you don't get to take in as much time because they treat you like they put you away, they treat you like royalty. But I don't want that. Like I want to be next to the director. I want to be next to the producer. I want to help out with things. And they don't let you do that when you're the lead.
Interesting.
Actor. So when I got on set as background, I got to learn all of that. And it's really, crafty is my favorite because crafty is when they have like a whole bunch of snacks and food and they cater you and it's just for everybody, for background crew.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite. But there was a lot of downtime with background. And I just got to, network, meet people, meet other people in the industry. And that's how I kind of I was feeling it out, right? Because I had done 2 short films in Houston before I actually went out to LA.
Okay.
And when I got to LA, it was really my time to figure out, is this really what I want?
Yeah.
And I remember we were on set on a Tom Hanks movie for 16 hours.
Dang.
And on the 16th hour when they called wrap, I was so upset. I was I was not done. Emma Watson was just getting started.
No way. What?
And that's how that was the moment I knew. I'm like, this is what I want to do. Because if I can be doing this for 16 hours and I'm still not done.
Right.
Like, and I have to be back again on set in 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's how I know, like, this is what I'm
So what would you say your top 2 or 3 movies or shows that you've done? What would be your top ones? I know we have one on Amazon Prime.
Yes, but don't watch them. I'm just kidding.
You're a lead actress in that particular movie.
I am.
And what is that called?
That one's called Conception.
Conception.
Yes.
And what is that? What story are you telling in that particular movie?
So that one is about a husband and a wife going through trying to have a baby.
Okay.
And we basically aren't able to, and so we go through complications of IVF, and so it's about just what a couple goes through together and individually when trying to have a baby and not being able to, and the shame that comes from it and the judgment and the relation problems. And so it was a very meaningful story for me to tell. And our director, Tharun, he did a great job at putting it together. This next one that we have coming, Motion,
Okay.
is a short film that we're actually premiering this month.
Wow.
And that my heart and soul goes into.
Wow, that's awesome. What is that all about? Tell us a little bit more about Motion.
Motion revolves around mental health.
Okay.
And it's about a father and daughter. So I, the daughter, basically spent my whole life taking care of my dad. So
Okay.
that's all I know.
Okay.
And eventually he's ill, so he passes away. And so I have to go through this journey of basically finding myself again and figuring out who I am without me just building my life. Like, who am I without my dad? And
Right,
trying to
right,
take
right,
care of
right.
somebody else.
And why does that one hit so close to home?
Well, I think because, growing up, I didn't really get to see my dad much because he was building businesses.
Sure, yeah.
And trying to provide for us. So he was very driven, and he's one of the most driven entrepreneurs that I've ever met in my whole entire life. He inspires the drive within me, and he shows me that, if you really go after something, you can truly have it, because I saw him go through sleepless nights. I saw him go through the whole entrepreneurial journey, and I saw him just get better and stronger, and I saw him, like, the people around him love him so much. And it's because of how much heart he has and how much he pours into the people around him. And it showed me that, being a leader, being an entrepreneur, you don't have to be this evil person.
No, absolutely not.
And it was the first time I ever saw that.
Yeah.
So for this film in particular, we have a whole mental health panel that we're traveling with. We're going to go on tour with it. So we're going to go to universities and speak about this film.
Wow.
We also have, it started off as a Texas-based film, but now it's a national film. So we have
That's pretty huge.
organizations.
I mean, I think
over.
what's really cool about this whole concept is you're not just providing entertainment through a movie. You're actually passing a message, which mental health has been a huge phenomenon in the recent years, and I think internet has a lot to do with it. Social media has a lot to do with it, and a lot of people are looking into mental health now. And as a Pakistani background, my parents don't even know what mental health is, right? And nor do we focus on it. We just act like it's not there and it doesn't exist. We just go, hey, suck it up, move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're starting to realize that it's an actual illness that needs to be treated if you have, mental issues or mental health issues or whatnot. So I think that's really, really cool that you did something like that. And and you said you're going to be premiering this. You're going to go on tour at a lot of film festivals.
Yes.
And what is that all about? And is it to get it to be on major platforms, or what's the essential goal with this movie?
So next year, our goal is to really turn it into a feature film, a full-length film with a studio.
Okay.
So right now we have investors with the short film, and we're submitting to all the major film festivals, Sundance. I think we're partnered up with South by Southwest.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on with this, and it's really just to bring awareness to the topic and the story, and see how we can get people to support it so that we can tell it to its best capacity.
Now, when you get offered these positions to lead in these movies, do you actually read the script before to see if there's really even a message, or is it more so of, hey man, I have an opportunity to act, this is what I love to do, let me hop on in front of the camera?
Great question. I used to really take anything.
Sure.
I would of course read the script first, but I was like, I'll challenge myself for this role. But then I really figured out who I was as an actor. I've been doing this for 11 years, and I realized, like you said, like, for me, the stories really have to have impact. The stories have to make a difference and leave people either better or more aware or brighter than I 100%. Find them.
Yeah.
Because that's what film and TV did for me my whole life.
Right.
Like I said earlier, like, films and TV are what gave me hope as a child when I didn't really have much of it around me. So it showed me that I could live this other life of light and love, and I didn't have a lot of that in my own circumference.
Right.
And so to see that on the big screen and TV, and seeing how stories impact people and how they bring them together and how they leave you thinking differently about things, it's really so powerful.
100%. Speaking of like the different issues or difficulties you had as a child, and now that your marketing firm that you're partnered at this point, your primary clientele is law firms, correct? Which means that you're walking into these giant buildings or giant offices of these big lawyers, and you're walking in there trying to tell them, hey, let's do marketing, and they see this girl walking in with her cameras and this script and all that. How do they really take you on? I mean, I know as a woman walking into a law firm, Is it intimidating for you?
It's not intimidating to me, but I think that, it's really intimidating for the lawyers a lot of the times.
Is it really?
Well, yeah, because, it's these attorneys that have been practicing for years, and a lot of them are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're trying to do social media now, so it's a little intimidating for them. And my goal really is to make them feel at ease and make them realize that this is not about selling. Social media is not about selling. It's about telling your story.
Interesting.
And it's about bringing people awareness about what value you have to bring.
Very cool.
So that's really the goal I go in with. And that's when I go in there, my main goal is to empower them to be themselves. And I think that they think that social media is about being something that they're not. And so when I approach it this way, it really eases the whole conversation.
Yeah. Being the first women on our podcast, we definitely got to bring up, as an entrepreneur, a woman entrepreneur, do you think that you have to face more difficulties getting through a door as opposed to a man entrepreneur?
Are we getting into this?
Yeah, we have to get into it. We got to know.
Let's do
This
it.
is the first time we're going to hear a
glad.
woman's perspective on, how it really feels to be an entrepreneur. And I'm all about it. I would love to know.
It's really interesting because last year I walked into an office with my first social media directing job. And I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to have all the opportunity. I got it.
Yeah.
I really got this. But then the challenges that I've faced in the past year with different people, I realized that it's difficult because a lot of the times I think men have certain, and I hate to pull this card of like man and woman, but it's there, it's present, and it's an actual issue that happens. And a lot of the times I've realized that men and women, but men tend to have this idea that they've been raised around where, men are supposed to be the ones in control in business. They're the ones that know how to handle business. They're the ones that can take pressure. I wish a man would challenge me and try to crack me to be better, but I feel like a man, it's really hard for a man to do that to a woman. It's very like, oh, we have to treat you delicately.
Right.
You're more emotional, this and that. You're more sensitive. Yes, we are. We're very emotional, we're very sensitive, and that's a superpower, I think. But I think where I feel women lack opportunity in business is a lot of the times they won't be challenged as much. They won't be empowered as much. And again, like I wish a man employer or a partner would be like, let me challenge you. Let me break you like I would a man.
Yeah.
Because I think what would come out of that is a stronger woman, just like would a stronger man.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
And, in the car dealership business, I mean, you walk into any car dealership, the only women you really see is the receptionist. And I think I brought this up earlier, but I don't think I know of any general managers of a dealership that's a woman. Now, do I think that that's the right way of doing things? Absolutely not, because we have a saleswoman at our dealership, and she's one of our top sellers, right? But I think for a consumer, the expectation is that they're going to be dealing with this, really gritty man and who's going to be negotiating with them and this and that. And if it's a woman presenting, the numbers and the negotiations really not there, they won't take the woman seriously because, oh, you probably have a manager over you that's going to really give me the numbers. Like, let's cut the BS and let's get to that point. How do we break that barrier in today's age where we've seen women accomplish so many different things that men probably could have never have? How can we really break that barrier of, yes, a woman can sell a car just like a man can?
Well, I think we need you guys.
Okay.
We need the men that think this way. My partner at Artistic Initiative, Ray, he's been really great about empowering me from the moment I started, even before I started.
Yeah.
It was very like, she's a rock star. She knows how to handle it. Like, she can take all the pressure. She can do it. She's even better than me, sometimes he'll say. And I'm like, don't say that. But it's having a man by your side, and unfortunately that sometimes is necessary.
Yeah.
But having him by my side to really empower me and position me in a way where I can challenge myself to show up and succeed helped me succeed.
So you think a woman just needs a little bit of push, just an opportunity to be able to prove?
Partner. Not even an opportunity, but I think a partner, right? Like, men back each other up.
Yeah.
right? Women back each other up.
100%.
Why can't the two cross?
Right.
Right? I think women back men up.
Yeah.
I'm always rooting for the men around me.
Yeah.
How often do we find men rooting for women in
Interesting.
business?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know about other men. I do. I
Well,
would hope I
thank
do.
you.
I would hope I do. We've had a few different saleswomen here, and quite honestly, we've noticed that saleswomen actually perform better than salesmen at my dealership. And not to knock on any of the salesmen that do work here. They're obviously all stars here because they're with me, but women have a power of connecting with people way better than a man can, right? When a man is talking to another man about, let's say, in a car transaction, right, purchasing a vehicle, it's a very logical, clear cut. These are the numbers. This is how we're going to do it. We can negotiate up to this point, yada, yada, yada. But when I notice a woman selling a car to a man, they don't even talk about numbers. They don't talk about numbers. They just talk about who you are as a person, the client. They just learn about them. They connect with them. What do you do on a daily basis? What are your habits? Are you a gym guy or whatnot? And they truly find the true wants and needs about why this person is here to buy this car, which is, I don't know if it's a womanly thing or, we call that fact finding. In a dealership, the term is fact finding. And we've noticed that women fact find so much better. And not to say that they're nosy and they're trying to get in their business, but it's just second nature to a woman that they're able to find a way to connect and correlate with your lifestyle and find a way, whatever problems or difficulties you face, they're able to find a solution a lot easier.
Vulnerability, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't see, I don't understand why there isn't more women in this field. It could just be that it's a sales position, which is, it is very, very hard. I mean, we've talked about this in our past episodes too. Just selling in general, like being a salesperson trying to sell something, it's not an easy job. It gets very frustrating just because you're not going to win 100% of the sales. So if you have 10 people walking in the door, not all 10 people are going to buy from you.
Yeah.
And I think this is where a woman may lack compared to a man, where if she doesn't get the sale, she may be really down about it to where to get her to reset and do that all over again to the next client could be a little challenging.
Yeah.
And none of this applies to all women. I'm just saying based on the experiences that I have. But we welcome women in our dealership all the time because they bring a lot of creativity. That's huge for us.
Yeah.
They always bring up these cool ideas that are fun. Men don't do that. Men just go,
Y'all need
where
to
the
step it up.
where are the cars at? Where are the cars at? Let's sell these cars, and that's pretty much it, right? We're just moving metal. But a woman adds a spark to it, right? Even like when we're delivering a car, right? Once the paperwork is done and you're ready to pick up your car, the way a girl can deliver that car and put a smile on someone's face is truly magical to see. I mean, that's what I strive for. That's why I like the business I'm in, because after all the hard work of getting them approved on a car and doing all the good stuff, making sure that they like it, yada, yada, yada. But at the end result, when you see that smile on their face when they're about to drive home with their new car, I mean, I think that's priceless, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to get more into, so you were in acting for some time. Did you ever see if you wanted to go into Bollywood?
So I did.
Because I feel like there may have been a little bit more opportunity there. Quite honestly, I think I'm a Bollywood star. Like I think I can make it in Bollywood. I don't have the dance skills. We can learn that, but I think I have the facial structure and whatnot to be on a Bollywood movie.
This guy.
Do you agree?
Right?
I don't think she agrees.
I agree. I agree.
Okay.
I think you could make it in Bollywood. All the Bollywood directors out there, Private Club Motors.
I'm hoping she knows a Bollywood director, and she's like, yeah, there's a guy named Shiroz.
Oh my
Let's bring him on board. But did you ever explore that opportunity?
I did, and I actually am still very open to it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching Bollywood films. My Hindi and Urdu are a little, ABCD, as they would call it. But I can learn and I can get better. I mean, Katrina Kaif did it, So I'm definitely open to it. I love the whole dancing, singing, and just the whole. I think Bansali is somebody that I would love to work with in Bollywood. And if he ever approached me, I would by all means but
I'll work for free. Just get me on board.
Just get me, because I mean the creativity that goes into a Bollywood film.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, and I just would love to experience that one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now you've lived in LA, you lived in New York, you're in Houston, you've visited all the major cities in America. Have you been to India before?
I have not, but I would love to go.
Yeah.
And if I did, I wouldn't only touch into the Bollywood scene.
Sure.
I would love to act. I'm very into like, so over the years, and I feel like my whole life I've really been very spiritual.
Yeah.
And recently I've just tapped even more into it. The more self-aware I become, and the more, you know, life brings you closer to God. I feel like, or the universe, whatever you want to call it. So in India, there's a lot of monks.
Okay.
And so I'd love to go out there and really experience what it would be like to live with a monk, or
Yeah.
like, you
Or
know,
be a
live
monk.
like a monk. Kind of like Jay Shetty.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not for 6 years.
You kind of
know
remind
what
me
I
of Jay Shetty.
mean? Really?
I guess the way
Wow.
you speak or the things you speak about, I think it's I think it's very parallel to how Jay Shetty presents or tells his story.
I love
I think
that.
you have that same capability of doing so, which
Wow.
is why I think you're so successful in your storytelling. But you have recently started a new project on social media, which is called
You Media.
You Media. I want to know more about You Media. And, you know, the purpose of this podcast is for our viewers that are looking to be entrepreneurs. Either they already are young entrepreneurs or they're looking to get into entrepreneurship. You know, every episode we bring on a guest that kind of explains their journey on how you can be a successful entrepreneur in their field. And in your field, that's marketing, right? And you just started your new venture. Tell us a little bit about that, how you got started into it, and how you found success in that.
So You Media really came about because I saw that there was an absence in, you know, creative branding and creative media for thought leaders
Okay.
and speakers specifically. And I've always been very passionate about speakers, TED Talks, podcast. So I decided that I would kind of dive into this space. And already, you know, our first client, she's doing a TED Talk soon. She has 2 books coming out.
Really?
She's been on stage multiple times. She's on a speaking gig right now, actually. And she also just, so she's in the behavioral analysis space.
Okay.
And so she's done like Forbes interviews on the recent presidential campaign and candidate, you know, debate that happened.
Right.
So she's doing big things. And for me, it's important to really give, because I realize that thought leaders, they know how to speak and they have a story they want to tell. They have impact that they want to make, but they don't really know how to brand themselves.
They don't have a platform?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So I come in and, you know, it's pretty simple when I get to work with them, because I hear their vision, I hear their story, and I just figure out how to creatively brand that in a way that would resonate with people on social media. But it also just gives me purpose because I'm empowering somebody who's making such a big difference. I
Sure.
have Be the Light tattooed on me right here.
Nice.
And that really goes into play with that, where I just want to bring light to people who are bringing light to others.
Right.
You know, because that's like a ripple effect into the world.
Sure.
And I think that it's just something I'm very passionate about. And eventually I'd like to turn You Media, I'd like to take it from this creative media space into like masterminds one day for speakers and people who want to get on stage.
Okay.
And hold these workshops for people to just become more aware of who they are and what their story is, deal with certain maybe traumas and healings that may be blocking them from showing up for other people. Because I know through my journey, there's been oftentimes where a lot of things that I had gone through were blocking me from actually embracing my voice and who I am as a person. And it kept me from truly having that connection with other people, because I was continuously, subconsciously in my past and in my trauma. And so I think there's a lot that goes into being a speaker and having influence on people. And I just want to build something that helps people overcome these things so that they can shine in their own light, authentically, nakedly, vulnerably. So You Media is a creative media company that starts with you.
That's very cool. I don't know if you know this, but I was a president of speech and debate in high school.
What?
Yeah, I was like best debater out there. I wanted to be a lawyer. As a child, that was like my dream job. So I was like big on debate. My speech and debate coach, Mr. Mercier, R.I.P. He passed away while we were in high school. Super tragic moment, but I give him full credit for me being able to speak in front of a camera or even publicly. Like if you put me in front of 1,000 people and tell me to go speak, I can go speak. I don't have stage fright. And it came from those workshops that I did in high school where we were forced to speak about something that we found valuable and a story that we wanted to share. And we were told to do this in a specific way. A trick that I tattooed in my head. Before we would speak, we would have to put a pencil in our mouth and speak with that pencil, because what it does is it like works out your tongue to where you won't stutter or whatnot. You're just very clear flow. Obviously, I didn't do that today because I have some stuttering or whatnot. But no, so if I wanted to be a part of You Media, right, and if that was something that I wanted to do, what kind of story are you looking for you to go, yes, You Media is a platform for you?
It's not necessarily a certain story that I'm looking for. It's really the person's willingness to work through what you need to work through in order to be that speaker that you want to be, right? Because again, I tell this to every client even that we work with. I'm like, look, social media, storytelling, just putting yourself out there is a collaboration. I can give you the platform, I can empower you, I can be your coach, but if you're not willing to do the work internally, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, like just physically, even just showing up, right? Putting in the reps like any athlete would. Speaking is a sport. Yeah. So it's if you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to challenge yourself to really overcome things and become that, then I will work with you. But if you're not, and that's my number one thing on every single call that I do, I'm like, if you are willing to be challenged and get naked, because we're gonna get naked. Yeah. We don't do this without getting naked. We then we'll do it. Yeah. But if you're just trying to sell, I'm not gonna do it. I don't want to work with anybody that's just trying to sell. I want to work with people that are actually trying to have an impact. Interesting. Because if you make an impact, you'll make the sell. Correct. But we have to figure that out first. We can't go straight for the sell because you're just selling the cover on the book. I want to sell the book. Right. And the pages. That's very interesting.
So I know there's a lot of social media directors out there, especially in this age that we're in now. Obviously, you have a very specific way of, running your side of the business where you want to tell the story. And I find that very, very interesting because the first question I ask any marketer whenever a marketer approaches me is I'm like, so how are we going to sell my products? How are we going to make money? How are we going to make money from this? Right. That's what I want to know. Like, so I'm like, okay, you're telling me to invest this much in you as in your marketing agency. What returns is it going to bring me? Right.
Which is valid. Right. Which is valid.
And I think this is the first time I've heard that. I mean, everyone wants to tell a story, obviously, but this is the first time I've heard someone go, I'm not trying to sell for you. I'm just trying to tell your story, and your product will sell itself. And I think that's a very cool concept, and I think we may adapt to that if we haven't already. What do you think, Isa?
And if the sales, the sales are always a goal, right? Correct. They're a goal, but I think I think longevity wise, sure, right? If you want to make a short-term sale, I'm not your person. Gotcha. If you want to make sales over your lifetime, no matter what venture you go on. Yeah. Like today you're doing private club motors. Yep. Say you want to open up a restaurant tomorrow. You're going to have to build a whole nother brand for that. Correct. Right? But if you build a personal brand, which you, the person behind all these businesses, the person behind these visions, if you build that story, no matter what you do in your life, people will follow you.
So you're building a personal brand. You're not necessarily building a business brand.
They're both. Okay. Right? But I don't do the business without the personal brand.
Gotcha.
I need to.
Now, what if you have a client that goes, yeah, I have like 4 different businesses that I'm in, but I don't want to be known as the guy behind it. Is he not the right candidate? Or how does that operate, right? If there's a silent partner in a business that runs all these things behind the scenes, but doesn't want to be publicly seen, how does he market his brands?
You can still market it. A lot of people will have another person be a face within their company that they trust. Yeah. I'm very particular. Yeah. I have to have that like legacy breaking story. For me, it's important to build legacies. Yeah. And I feel like the way to truly do that is by being naked. Yeah. And embracing who you are and where you come from and what got you here and where you want to go. Like all of these things make for such a greater victory story. That's what I care about. 100%. So there's people out there again for that person. Correct. Right. But again, like I'm making films, I'm working with law firms, like I'm working with You Media. There's only so many people that I can spend time doing that with. Correct. So I don't want to dabble in something that my whole heart's not in. 100%. My whole heart's in building people's legacies.
Gotcha. Now, all this is great. You want to spread a message and you want to make an impact on the world. But quite honestly, we're all in here to make money, right? Yes. I mean, I show up to work every day because I want to make money. My guys, my team here, they're here because they have bills to pay. You have bills to pay. Of course. How do you monetize all of this? How do you maximize your monetization behind building someone's personal brand?
Well, the personal brand is usually attached to a business.
Okay.
Right? So like if you're building a personal brand and you're cross marketing your business with it,
Okay.
your community that you're building with your personal brand is going to go to your business.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? And it may not be that business, it may be another business. You may have half of your audience going to that business, half of your audience going to this business. I just feel and believe and know from the stories and facts that are out there, when you have a personal brand, people are more invested in you.
You, correct.
So no matter what you do, like say, Gary, I love Gary Vaynerchuk, right? If he releases another book tomorrow, I won't even care what it is. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're invested in
Gary
him. Right.
Vaynerchuk.
Right.
Right? Jay Shetty. If he releases or if he's doing a speech, I don't even know what the topic is, but I'm going to go. If he's launching a restaurant out here, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Just because it's Jay Shetty.
Correct.
Right? So like that's personal branding.
Gotcha.
It's the power that a person has when they're just.
So you're saying I'm doing it all wrong, pretty much, right?
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, what are we doing
walk
here?
off the podcast
What are we
now.
doing here? I'm over here putting all my marketing dollars in Private Club Motors, but nothing on Bing_Rose.
Look,
what's going on over here?
You're doing this.
Yeah.
And this is huge.
Yeah.
This is a step.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing here is great, and I think
Thank
that
you.
should keep doing it.
Thank you.
You're really good at it.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a part of your personal brand.
100%.
You know?
And, the thing is, within our family, we're in so many different businesses. And you're absolutely right. There's a lot of things that you're speaking about on this podcast that's ringing a bell in my head going, why didn't we do it like that? Because, for example, Muse, we have a full separate marketing campaign going for Muse just to get that marketing rolled up. But if I just promoted myself and then promoted my businesses, I think that would have been a lot easier transition. I don't think I've ever realized that. But for those that are watching, I mean, I think that's an amazing strategy. And one person I'm thinking on the top of my head is Kevin Hart, because I always see his damn shorts commercial that pops up on my sponsored ads. He's always selling these $5 or $10 shorts. And the only reason why people are buying these shorts is because Kevin Hart posted it, right?
Exactly.
And so I think that whole personal branding thing is super cool. I don't think I've ever realized it until now. So thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah.
I want to kind of change topics a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit more about cars now, because that's what we live, breathe, and smell all day long, every single day. I don't know if you know, but I work 6 days a week. I take Sundays off. So the only thing that I really think or know is cars. That's how my brain is programmed, is buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, right?
Yeah.
So what questions do you have for me about the car dealership business, how we got here or whatnot?
That you'd never ask. So what I know about you, and now I'm tapping into my podcast interviewer self.
Let's do it.
Finally, I can. Okay.
I'm scared now.
No, don't be scared. We're just gonna get naked. Okay. I think that, I mean, when I walked in here, I was first of all blown away because I saw a video that you posted earlier, where you showed that you started on this grass lot. With like a wire fence.
Yeah.
And today you're here.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
So tell me because that's not, I mean, did you always have a vision to want to bring this here? Is it something that maybe you were just testing out? How did you go from that to here?
So when I was on that car lot, the reason why we left the car lot to begin with was because at that time I was so frustrated with the infrastructure we had, the very limited resources we had, that I actually wanted to just shut down the business. I was like, this is terrible. Like we're doing a horrible job. We are selling cars here. They're decent cars. They're priced very competitively. But this is not a way to sell a car. I mean, I just didn't like it. We had a portable office, right? And I came from, look, I was never going to be a business owner. I never wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to be a corporate guy. I went to school. I grinded. I graduated college in 3.5 years because I was so ready to make money, because that was my drive. Like, I have to make all the money in the world. So I sped through college, got a corporate job. And to me, that was my dream, is to be in a corporate office behind a desk in a cubicle. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want. I want to dress up to work. I want to wear my suit. Yeah, I just want to do that. And I just want to be a professional, white-collar professional.
Interesting.
And so, doing that for 2.5 years, where I was in a very nice office. I mean, we had all the amenities there. It was a true corporate culture. And slowly, I mean, in a very short period of 2.5 years, I was like, yeah, this ain't it. Like, I am not going to sit here and listen to someone tell me what I'm not doing great, even if I was great at it. And I think the biggest tipping point for me in corporate was I was outperforming all my goals. I was an insurance underwriter where we were underwriting these commercial policies. So, for example, like this building that you see here, we would actually come out here and we would send people out here and we would assess the risk of how risky this property is to insure, whether that's property insurance, workers' comp, a lot of boring stuff. Like, who cares? Yeah, super boring
let's
shit.
Get to the juicy parts of the story.
So 2.5 years later, I was like, I started writing all these policies for my company. I was working for Travelers, and I went to my manager and I was like, hey, you guys gave me a goal for $500,000. I'm already sitting at 1.2 million. So let's talk about a pay raise, right? I mean, I'm bringing you value, so give me some value back, right?
Yeah.
And very quickly, I learned that that's not how corporate works. Corporate is, you're just a number, buddy. You can get in line, right? And even if you are outperforming, we're not going to reward you for that. There's a timeline that we have to follow. And to me, that just didn't sit right. I was like, I'm showing you that I can perform. I'm putting up the numbers, but I'm not getting rewarded for it. So I left that and I joined into the car lot that my brother had started up very early in that point. And now I'm going from this giant building with a beautiful desk and beautiful view and all this good stuff to a portable office that has no bathrooms, no running water, and we're sitting in a grassland. So every day I'm contemplating sitting there going, why did I leave my corporate job to do this, right? So I started learning the business. I was like, let's just see what it is. I got to give it. I already left it. I just got to see what it is right here. I took a major pay cut. I think I lasted there for about 4 or 5 years until where I was like, yeah, this is not it. Like, I just can't be doing this. I don't feel professional. I'm wearing like gym clothes to work because it's a freaking grass property. I don't want to dress up nicely there. So I decided that let's just close this business down. Like, let's just move on to something new. And the reason why is because I brought it up to my family and I was like, if you guys really want to continue this dealership business, we got to do it differently. We can't do it like this. So I did have a vision. I did have a goal. And at that particular time, my only vision was having gravel or concrete floors. Literally. That's all I cared for. Wow. I didn't care about, having this beautiful building or a showroom with nice lighting. None of that. I just wanted a concrete floor with running water. Like, it was just basic necessities. And so, I was like, family was like, nah, we don't think that's all worth it. I don't think it's worth taking the overhead expense. We shouldn't do it. So I said, whatever, let's start selling all the cars. And as I'm getting rid of all my inventory to close up the business, I strike a deal with one of the auctions that we were working with to where they were allowing, there was only 5 independent dealers that they allowed to be on their platform to sell. Everyone else was franchise dealerships like Ford and Toyota and Mercedes. And so when I got into this and I just started selling cars out of nowhere, I was like, hold on. I think I just discovered something new and this could be big. And so 2 or 3 doors down from where we are right now, I found this spot and it was a glass office. Nothing like this. It was way smaller. I'm talking maybe 2,000 square feet, but it was like nice tiles in the office and I shared it with 3 other dealers just to be able to afford the rent there. And we had nice paved floors, so my cars looked pretty and all this stuff. Like, I'm talking, it was just the little things, right? And we moved into that, and I think I was only there for a year and a half where I really got to learn the luxury and exotic car world because there was a dealership right behind me, and that's all they focused on. And I got to learn a lot from him, and the owner of that dealership, he's kind of like my mentor. If I have any questions, I always call him. And I think at that point, we kind of realized that we're onto something and we can keep making this bigger and bigger if the momentum was there. Yeah. And I think the momentum really carried me here. We saw this location was up for rent and it was 5 times more expensive than what I was currently paying after already doubling my expenses from the car lot. So my family thought I was crazy. They're like, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Are you sure this is going to be fine? And I'm a big believer of, you can put me in any hard situation. Regardless of how difficult it is, I will always figure it out. Like, I have that full belief. I'm a firm believer of it. You throw me in there, you throw me in the fire, I'll find a way to climb out.
My family says the same thing about me.
Because you got to have that drive in order to take these risks. And so we finally took that risk and I said, hey, let's do it. and let's do it right and let's do it big, to where we're a name on the freaking freeway now on 59. We're right there. Everyone's going to see us. So that's just a little success story. And quite honestly, I think you just need the right people behind you to give you that extra push that, yeah, you can. Sometimes it's just words of encouragement. For me, I think it was my momentum. I had a lot of encouragement from a lot of people around me. I surround myself with really, really good people that are going to motivate me and not demotivate me. So I just carried all of that and just kept pushing. And now we're here, and it feels like we've been here for 2.5 years. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, this is perfect. But this is still not the end. This is still the beginning for me.
What's the next step?
What's next? Just a couple more like this around town. I think that would be cool. And you know, me coming in here every day, you know, it's like going to your own house every single day. You don't appreciate what your house is until a guest comes over and he goes, wow, this is so nice. And you go, really? Yeah. It is? And so that's how I am about my dealership here, where so many people come in that are brand new to the building and they go, dude, this is crazy.
Like I did today.
Yeah, like, you know, like that reaction you had, like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really drives me again, like, holy crap, I did do something big, because coming in here every day, I just go, here goes a bunch of problems that I have to deal with. And it's just work, right? But it's always good to hear that third person perspective to go. And, you know, Issa's a big one for me all the time. He comes in here, he goes, Shroz, you have no idea what you're doing here. Like, this is nuts. Like, this is insane. And I'm like, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. Is it? Yeah. And so, but yeah, that's how this all happened. Obviously, I think luck has a little bit to do with it. Prayers have a lot to do with it. But more importantly, I think it's a lot of hard work. I mean, I've been working 6 to 7 days a week for the last 5 or 6 years. Like, don't get me wrong, I take a vacation every 2 months because I have to. It's just to reset my brain. But I work 6-7 days a week, put in a lot of hours that no one sees. People just come in, they see the building, they're like, wow, this is great. But the amount of hours that go behind it is next to none. So hard work is, I think, the biggest thing. And lastly, consistency. Yeah. I think that's so huge in anything you do, 100%. Right? And we've talked about this in past podcasts too, like whether you're working out, whether you're practicing your speaking skills, whether you're trying to get good at selling something. But to constantly hit those reps and continuously staying with it, I think it really creates that momentum for you to just go, I can do more.
100%.
And so now I'm at that point after 2.5 years at this building, I am starting to think, so why are we not doing more already, right? And I think I've slowed down a little bit, just because I have accomplished so fast in so little of a time. It does concern me a little bit sometimes, but on the other spectrum, it's like, if you can get this far, I mean, sky's the limit at this point. So I'm super excited of what's to come. The best thing for us is, if you look at our inventory, how that's changed, forget the infrastructure in the building, but more so than that, we went from selling like beat up Camrys to selling Lamborghinis. I mean, I think the success is there.
Yeah.
Being able to transact a $3,000 car compared to a $300,000 car, different ball game. You're dealing with different clientele, right? So I think my success is in that. We had a Lamborghini in here 2 months ago. It was the first Lamborghini that entered our showroom. Wow. And to me, it was the most proud moment of my life. And I'm the one that closed that deal from the beginning to the end because it was so special to me. Because if you see our logo on that wall, it's a Lamborghini, right? And this Lamborghini logo has been with us while we were selling Camrys. So I think the story was there the entire time. Wow. It just needed to be executed, and we finally did it, and I can't be happier.
I love that.
So that's Private Club Motors for you. What do you think?
One last question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
I get to drive a different car every single day.
Wow.
Every single day. So it's a new car. Sometimes it's a car. There's pros and cons to it, obviously, but that is the absolute favorite thing because you never know if I'm coming to a party. You wouldn't know if it's me because I would be in a different car, right? A car is someone's identity, right?
Stunner.
You know, like you'll see your friend, you know, whatever car your friend drives, if they're approaching wherever you're meeting up, you're like, oh, yeah, they're here. You'll never know if I'm coming, right? I'm like super stealth. Yeah, I'm like stealth mode. But no, it's super cool because we have a lot of cool cars here, like luxury cars, exotic cars, sometimes normal cars. And I don't drive them just to enjoy them. I actually drive them to learn the car itself too, because there's new technology coming out every single day. There's new features. driving a Tesla on autopilot. I remember my first time when I took one of the inventory Teslas, I was mind blown. I was like, but the thing is, I had to drive it to understand how it drives to be able to sell it,
Exactly.
or even share the knowledge with my sales staff here. So, but yeah, absolute favorite part of the business is having a new car every day.
I
So
love
cool.
that. I'm
So
proud of you.
what's your favorite car?
Honestly, I'm a Bronco girl.
Bronco.
I want like a really old vintage Bronco one day.
Really? That's
Yeah.
a very different answer than what we usually hear. We usually hear like supercars and like the newest technology.
I'm a 90-year-old woman on the inside.
Ford Bronco, have you seen any?
I've seen a bunch, but like I want the vintage ones.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are like super old. Probably
And
gonna
what
break
makes
down
you
on
so
me.
excited about a vintage car as opposed to a modern car?
They have soul.
Yeah?
They have heart. They have story. I mean, so does a modern car. Don't get me wrong. But there's something about a vintage Bronco or vintage cars in general where I'm like, again, I think my like 90-year-old spirit is just like, I recognize you.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
we've dealt with our fair share of classic cars here.
Yeah.
We had a 1930 Ford Model A here.
Oh my God.
I have a trophy on my desk because it won so many awards. But yeah, because it was like in pristine condition. I'm talking like scratchless. But it's funny that you said, it has a soul and a story behind it, because that 1930 was the guy that sold it to me. He was a 94-year-old man. And he's owned this car his entire life, like pretty much, right?
Wow.
So he was telling me his stories with that car. And obviously he's selling it because he's like, I don't know how many years I have left. So, I mean, I just need to liquidate my money and kind of do whatever I need to do with it. But there were so much stories behind that car because it went through a freaking century of historical events and still maintained to look in the condition that it did.
Yeah.
100%. Classic cars are very exciting. We deal with them a little bit here, and we're starting to get into that market as well. And the best thing about Private Club Motors is we sell everything. Like, you can find, like I said, 1930 Ford. Just yesterday, we sold a 15-passenger Ford Transit van.
Oh my
right?
God.
So, I mean, it's like random, right?
Vintage Bronco?
Maybe.
Okay.
Whenever you're in the market for one,
Hit you
actually,
up.
I'm not gonna ask you when you're in the market for one. I'm just gonna go grab one,
Deal.
put it on the showroom floor, and I'm just
Deal.
gonna send you a snap,
Deal.
and I'll be like, "Yeah, this is the one. Let's come grab it."
I'll be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask about the cars. Other than that, do you have anything that you're currently working on aside from the movie that you did, Motion, that you didn't mention to us? Any future projects that you're working on that you want to share with us?
Well, Motion is really my biggest focus right now. I would say You Media as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then just I want to relaunch my podcast. You've kind of inspired me here again today.
Awesome. Yes, let's
it's
go.
been some time since I haven't
Sorry.
done an episode.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can be a guest on there.
Hey, I'd be super
Yeah?
excited to. Yeah,
Okay.
you can be like, Private Club Motors is coming on the other side of the
we
side of the
go.
screen this time.
You can bring my keys to the vintage. Bronco.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we know we talked about Motion. Any other questions you have for me in regards to Private Club Motors?
Huh.
You told me you were gonna like make
I
this
know,
so hard
I
for me. This has been
know.
easy. This is a piece
You
of cake.
gave me all of it in one question.
This
I'm
is
like,
like a
dang,
piece of
this is
cake,
good.
man.
Stop it. Huh. What should I ask him?
No tough questions for me?
Dude.
I get off easy, I guess.
No, you don't.
I wanted to
Huh.
ask you if you don't have any questions for me.
I'll think of something.
Okay, cool. I want to know if you have any tips for anyone that's looking to get into the film industry. Whether it may be in the acting side, whether it may be the directing side, producing side. There's so much around a film, right? It's not, we just think actors, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many different components. If someone wanted to get into that industry, do you just tell them like, go fly to LA and figure it out? Like, is there like a pathway to that?
Well, actually, no, I tell them don't go fly to LA and figure it out because that led to 8 years of depression.
Oh my God.
Don't do that. No, it's like, I think, make use of the network you have around you while you figure out if it's something that you really want to do.
Yeah.
Try things, go out and audition, take an acting class,
Yeah.
see if you actually like it.
Right.
An acting class will teach you a lot.
Yeah.
And show you if, you actually like the pressure that it takes or what comes with being an actor.
Yeah.
Network. Go meet people. Go meet local directors, producers, actors, and just try to get on as many sets as you can just to see what it's like,
Yeah, but the thing is, everyone's looking for an overnight success, right? Like,
see,
oh, I
that's
want to
not what
land a
it
big
is.
movie and just
It's
be
not
on
that.
Netflix as my first movie. So
Yeah.
you have to start small.
Yes.
Start going with the smaller.
Try things.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for an overnight success, sure, maybe those one, in a million people.
Right.
But if you're actually somebody, like for me, acting and filmmaking is something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Oh, wow.
I want to be 60 years old directing films.
Yeah.
So it's a forever game. But I realized that moment on set when I was there for 16 hours and I still wanted to keep going, that was the moment for me where I was like, this is what I want.
Now, obviously, the film industry is very lucrative, right? There's a lot of money to be made.
Yeah.
But as a beginner, right, how many years of struggle do you really have to face before you actually hit that mark where you go, I'm actually making good money acting or being in the film industry?
Well, at first I was going at it very distracted, right?
Okay.
So I was a teen when I started, so I was getting influenced by a lot of negativity around me. I was getting pulled into a lot of bad circles. So it wasn't until I really got focused and became clear on what I wanted within this and how badly I wanted it that I actually started seeing results. So like anything, consistency and focus, right?
Yeah.
Acting is not, it's definitely a completely different career. You don't go and get a degree in it.
Right.
But I think with consistency, discipline, and just relentlessness, you can get it. And I've heard many actors say this on interviews that the only way to not be successful in this industry is by giving up.
Yeah.
So no matter how many no's, you're going to hear a million no's before you hear the yes, right? There was a bunch of auditions that I didn't get, but they were the ones that I got, and it got me the films that I've made so far,
100%.
right? It got me the portfolio that I've made. It got me on Amazon Prime. It got me Motion.
That's huge. I mean, I know you don't like this movie for some reason.
Don't say
but
that.
she keeps, I'm like, can I watch
Throne.
this movie? She's like, nah, just watch it later. Just watch it at a different time.
Watch Motion. Watch Motion.
No, but it's so dope. I mean, making it to Amazon Prime, and shoot, I'm hoping to see you on Netflix hopefully soon.
Oh my gosh, inshallah.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
So Simren, we talked about mental health a few times here, and it's a very important subject. Even for anyone that owns a business, it's a stressor, right? Any business that you run or operate, it adds a good amount of stress levels to your, mental capacity, which essentially leads to mental health issues. For myself, at least, running a business can get really, really stressful at times. And I mentioned earlier that I have to take a vacation every 2 to 3 months because I'll burn out, and I'll just be going full speed. With what you have done and what you have accomplished, obviously you've had many stressful situations trying to get into a very competitive industry. And how did your mental health get affected, and how did you cope with that whole situation?
So it's interesting. So I mentioned how, growing up, home was never really home.
Yep.
So that developed a lot of trauma.
Okay.
And there was a lot that I had boxed away just to survive my childhood, right? It wasn't until I started acting, actually. I was training with Aaron Spicer in LA, and he coaches like Will Smith, Jennifer Lopez, Jason Statham. So he's a top dog coach.
Yeah.
Really great. And one of my first classes with him and his instructors, there was one instructor in particular, Andrani. There was a moment in that class where she really broke me open. And I always say this, I'm like, acting class is what broke me open and led me down a path of those 8 years of depression. But that 8 years of depression was really me unpacking everything that I had packed away.
Okay.
Because it was all brought to service.
Interesting.
Acting, and I think really coming into who you are, even as an entrepreneur and a business owner, as a human being, it's really about breaking down all the walls that have been built up in order for you to protect yourself so that you can tap into who you truly are.
Right.
Without the fear, without the shame, without the trauma.
Yeah. And
so that's really when my healing work began.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that's what that was at that time. So it was a long 8 years because I was figuring it out. I didn't have anybody, guiding me through that.
And how did you cope with it? I mean, what did you do in those 8 years when you were building yourself back up?
I made a lot of bad decisions
Okay.
for a while.
Yeah.
But then I learned, I realized really just through self-reflection and meeting people that saw something in me that at the time maybe I didn't see within myself. And it allowed me to then find that light within me again. And I think, like you said earlier, it's really important to have people around you that you trust and that support you and empower you.
Right.
And over time, I guess I started meeting those people, and I started getting in the right environments, and I started realizing that I couldn't be this person anymore if I really wanted to be this entrepreneur, this person who's making impact.
Right.
And I really had to deal with the things that were holding me back, because I was not only hurting myself, but I was hurting everyone around me, because you project.
Correct. 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So it took a lot of self-reflection. It took a lot of just learning from interviews, from podcasts, from books.
Yeah.
I just started really diving into it, because at that point I was just so desperate, because I had a vision, I had dreams, and I had goals, but there was so much weight of this pain and this suffering that I was feeling. I didn't know how to liberate myself from it, but I was looking for the answers.
So for someone like me, I'm one of those guys that's just like, suck it up and get to work type thing. Don't get me wrong. We've all been, in our very lows, right? Where you don't know how to crawl out and whatnot. But for the most part, I mean, if I'm ever going through a depressive state of mind, for me, it's just like go to sleep, wake up the next day. It's a brand new day, get to work and try it all over again. Right.
Yeah.
However, even burnouts are a part of a mental health stress. Right.
Yeah.
And for someone like me who's just dived into numbers and cars all day long, figuring out what's coming in, what's going on, what the money looks like, what the numbers look like. It can get very, very stressful. And not just for me. I've seen other business owners that I know. They all go through something very similar. Mm-hmm. How can we strategize ourselves to where we avoid this burnout, so that way our business stays consistent and it doesn't go up and down with our mental health?
That's a really good question. I think that's a sheesh.
Yes. We finally asked the right question, fellas.
I think it just really has to do with self-awareness, and making sure that you're being honest with yourself. Like you said, like you need a vacation every 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
You know that's what you need to keep you an optimal level, to show up for yourself, for your business, for your family.
Yep.
For me, it's really, I don't necessarily need the vacation every 2 to 3 months, but I need to make sure that I'm doing what I love.
Right.
In that time where I was depressed, I was, waiting tables. I was working jobs just to support myself, doing things that I wasn't really passionate about.
Sure.
I wasn't acting as much because I was just sad all the time.
Yeah.
And I wish I had you around to be like, suck it up,
suck
Simren.
it up, come on.
But I didn't. And I had to kind of figure it out on my own. And I realized what got me out of that was beginning to do things that lit me up again.
Okay.
That brought life back into me, that gave me purpose, that made me want to wake up every day. So I think the way to avoid these mental health issues, but not necessarily avoid, right? Because if you avoid it, I mean, they're still there.
Correct.
You're not dealing with them.
Yes.
I think that it's really important to be honest with yourself and transparent naked with yourself and reflect. Simren actually means to self-reflect.
Is it?
So I thought that was pretty cool. But I really I encourage people to spend time self-reflecting, because a lot of times, of course, you don't want your problems and your mental health issues to keep you from living your life. And
is the best way, do you think, to cope with it is me time? I'm big on me time. Like, I have to have me time.
And if you don't have me time, how are you going to ever know who you are?
Right.
Right. Away from people, away from influences.
Yeah.
That helped a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, me time is good, but it can also bring a lot of sense of loneliness too.
What do you like to do in me time?
Me, I usually just lay in my bed. Like, that's my favorite thing in the world.
Really?
Favorite thing in the world to do is sleep. Like,
How is that me time? That's sleep time.
No. What I'm saying is, I like laying in my bed, and what I'll do is I'll just endlessly scroll on my phone. I won't pay attention to anything.
That's great for your mental health.
It's perfect. It's perfect because that's a time where my creative juices are like top notch. I come with the greatest ideas, and I'm not really looking at anything. It's just like a habit. I'm just like laying in my bed and just scrolling. And trust me, to me it works. And the second thing is gym.
Okay, there we go. That we can.
No, but both. But no. But trust me, even at the gym, right? I'll go sit in the sauna, and I'll spend about 20 minutes there. and I'll pull up my phone and I'll just scroll.
And guess what I do? I leave my phone outside and I meditate.
So we all have different ways of coping, right?
Sure.
Right?
Yes,
I mean, are
yes.
you saying my way's not right?
I'm not
Because it worked
saying
out.
that.
It worked out for
Okay,
me, I
fine,
think.
fine. Any local therapist, contact private company.
I'm telling you, like for me, I just have to have my thoughts to myself. Like even if I'm scrolling through something, I'm not necessarily paying attention to that. I'm already thinking about what my next steps are, what I want to do next. What am I failing at? What part of my life am I failing? And so it doesn't necessarily have to be business. It could be personal, right?
Yeah.
Or it could be personal relationships or family relationships. It could be so many different things. For me, I just want to make sure that I'm at the, you said optimal level. So I want to make sure that I'm peaking that by making sure whatever things that are bringing me down, I can either flush them out completely and go, I can't really change these things, right?
Yes.
A lot of things that really bring you down are things that you can't control.
100%.
Right? So for me, things that I can't control, I just like to let them leave my mind. And just kind of like sway away from that. Like, okay, we didn't hit our goal this month. I know what I can do differently the next month, but there's nothing I can do to go change the last month and how those goals would be affected. So a lot of times for many business owners that are looking to hit certain goals or targets, they really, when they don't hit them, they really weigh themselves down big time. And I'm one of those guys, or at least used to be. And I've just gotten better over time to understand that we're not gonna win every time, right? And I think accepting defeat, I think, is a great way for me to cope with my stress levels. That, hey, I'm not gonna win every single time. But like when a third person's looking at me, they're going, you look like you're winning, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be. I'm not always winning, right? There's times where I've taken big losses too.
Yeah.
So I think that, but what I think is really cool is that you went through this depression, right? You had all these mental health issues, and then you turned it all back around and you landed a project that talks about mental health.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool how it all came around and how you got into this project, and now you're able to not only just tell the message of the director or the story, but you can add your own personal touch to it because you've been through something similar.
Yeah.
Now, how has networking, got you to the place that you're in today, or the projects that you were able to acquire? How has networking helped you get into those doors?
It's everything.
And how important is networking?
It's everything.
Okay.
So the last few films that I've done, they've all come from networking.
Okay.
So it wasn't, my agent's great, but it's not her submitting me to things. It's really just like me going out there, putting myself out there in these environments and meeting people and then working with them, having an experience, shared experience with them, making an impression, and then them recommending me to other directors.
Right.
So I feel like really just figure out what environments you want to be in, put yourself in those scenarios, go out and shake hands, meet people, be yourself, right? Because, I don't go up to these people wanting anything. I don't even know who they are.
Right.
But I go in with the curiosity, just trying to get to know who they are. And people want to be seen. People want to be heard. So when you give them that, they will eventually want to know who you are. Who's this person that's so interested in who I am?
That's correct.
And that's a great way to, I feel like, build a relationship. And, it could turn into a possible work relationship.
So, for example, if someone is brand new to any industry, right, and they want to start networking, right, what does networking really even mean, and how do they start networking? Where do they go? Do they post it on their socials that, hey, I'm looking to network, or do they DM a bunch of people? Like, where do you put yourself to start networking with the right people?
It's funny. I have, at first I was doing it on my own, but then I realized it's probably not the safest thing for me to do. So I have a group of friends now that are specifically like, we go out and network together.
Okay. So where do you go?
So there's a bunch of Facebook groups, right?
Okay.
Social media, social.
Right.
There's a bunch of Facebook groups. There's a bunch of meetup groups. There's a bunch of events that happen around town, specific to your industry, or maybe not, maybe an industry that you're curious about. Just go. Okay.
And then you show up to these events that you find, and now you're put into a place, let's say it's a convention or whatever it may be, or exhibition. And then you just go out there and you just start introducing yourself to people. Yeah. How do you get them to really give you value for what you're really looking to do with that person that you're looking to network with? Or do you just go in with, I just want to know who you are, introduce yourself?
Exactly. Like, I'm literally flying to Vegas on Sunday just to network for a few days because So there's this, I work with attorneys, right? So there's one of the biggest law conventions happening in Vegas.
Okay.
Literally going out there just to network with these.
So you're not expecting to earn any business there, nothing. You're just trying to put your name out there.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there. The more value that you show people that you can provide.
Yeah.
Don't have any expectations, right? You don't need them necessarily.
Correct.
Or maybe you do, but don't show them that you need them.
Of course, yeah.
Go out there, just meet people, get to know people, and eventually if the right people see that they need the value that you have to provide, they'll reach out to you, they'll connect with you. I really just want to go out and just meet people. I've always been that person. I've always been curious about other people's stories and who they are and how they came to be.
Well, you seem to be a very extroverted type of person, right?
Very.
I think I'm extroverted, but I think there's a very big introverted side of me, where I don't necessarily, I hate to say the word care, I don't necessarily care to meet too many new people. I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at. For someone like me, right, I think I'm horrible at networking. Now, when I was in college, it was great because we had career fairs and this and that, and I was in business school, so we would have different, meetups, like you said. They would make groups and whatnot. So, and everyone you met there was your age, so it wasn't intimidating or anything of that sort. In today's time, in today's age, there's a lot of car conventions that happen, even car meetups, right? And then they'll have like big conventions like JD Power or Ally. Some of the companies that we're partnered with, where they'll actually have conventions, and they'll invite me, and I usually never go because I'm like, I'm gonna go there, but what am I really gonna do there? I'm just gonna meet a few people and whatnot. So how would you motivate someone, or what would you tell someone like me to on why I should go to these events and how it could benefit me, as opposed to just being comfortable in the circle that I'm in?
Well, my favorite saying is your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Right? So the more people you know, I guess just the more value you can potentially bring to other people, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just important. And again, it's not that I'm going to these people and expecting a return of any sort, but I think that the more people that you know and that know you and who you are and what value you have to bring, the more potential for an impact.
Sure.
So if you care about having an impact, if you care about having a successful business, and fortunately, unfortunately, having a successful business means having people invest in your business and in you. They have to know who you are. They have to know you exist. So I always tell people, sometimes I feel like people don't want to network because they're insecure, or they don't have the confidence to go out there and just put themselves out there. And I always say, I'm like, allow yourself to be seen.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I have I have full confidence to meet anybody I want. I have that is the least of my worries.
Well, good. I
guess my biggest hurdle is, why do I have to meet you, or what am I going to gain? But I guess that's where I'm holding myself back. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought this up to me because you're absolutely right. And for me to get to the stage that I am, it's because of a lot of the people that I knew. I connected a lot of the dots to be able to bring me here. And I think I probably hit a plateau where I was like, oh, I've made it. I've done everything. I don't need to know anyone. But in order to continuously grow, I think I should definitely look more into that. Yes. Into meeting other people that have multiple locations, for let's just say, for example, and how they're operating multiple locations with just sitting in one office, right? Yeah. For me, I think that would bring me a lot of value. And I suggest to everyone that's watching too that, like you said, networking is huge, especially if you're brand new into an industry. The best thing you can do, I mean, I think a lot of people come network with me without me knowing, where they'll just be curious about me and they're like, hey, can we come see you? And they'll just come sit in my office, and they're not here to buy a car. And in my head, I'm thinking like, dude, why are you wasting my time? But in reality, they're just here to get to know me and how I do things. And and you're absolutely right. That's them networking. And in return, I get curious. I'm like, well, why does he want to know so much about me, right? And then you learn to find out that they're looking to get into the car industry as well. And then, I love it's like my biggest thing, because when I was first into the car business, I had a buddy of mine who had a car dealership, a couple of, in the north side, and he was kind of like my on speed dial. Like I had to call him every time, like, hey, I have a customer here. Now what do I do, right? So I always like to give that back whenever I see someone new trying to get into the car business. So networking is huge. I need to get more involved in it. So if you know of any conventions, or if you know of any good networking events, please share them with us. And if you do share it with me, we'll share it with our audience too and let them know. So if there's any events like that, I think that'd be super dope. But I think that's all I have for you. I really appreciate you coming on our podcast. How do people connect with you? Oh, yes. Okay. Ready? So as we said, networking is important. How do people connect with you?
So you can find me on any platform. It's at The Naked Gal. Across everything.
Yeah.
So easy to remember. Great clickbait. Not what you think it is. But if you want to learn more, go check me out. Feel free to DM me anytime you guys have any questions or want to talk about anything. Like I said, I love networking and speaking with people.
Absolutely.
So I'll definitely give you
and this podcast for us is a way to network with other business owners too. So as much as I say I'm bad at networking, I think we're on the right track and we're getting things going. You guys really need to check out The Naked Gal. Her content is top notch. She has some great things to say. She's been on other podcasts as well. And we watched her stuff and we were super excited to have her here. And I really, really want to appreciate you being here, giving us your time. Yeah. And I hope you really enjoyed your time with us too.
Thank you so much.
And whenever she has her podcast, I'll make sure to be on it too.
You heard it here first, folks.
Thank you so much, Simren. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mister. Thanks for having me.